What's up, guys? Welcome to the Honest Tattooer podcast. And this week we have Tim O'Connor with us.
Hello. Happy
Welcome.
to be here.
And Matt Truiano in the building.
Hey, what's going on?
And it's going to be an intimate episode. It's just three of us.
Yeah.
We don't have a couch full of people or Gabe.
Gabe. Where's Gabe? Miami?
Gabe is at home being, double duty.
Oh, I thought he was taking the kids down to Miami.
No. He's in town.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel less bad for him then.
He is missed. What's up, man?
Not much. Happy to be here.
Good. For those that don't know you, why don't you introduce yourself to them?
Sure. I'm Tim O'Connor. Tattooing 20 years now. I own 10,000 Foxes Tattoo in Astoria, Queens. I came up being, in a shop where you had to do everything. So I'm pretty versatile.
It seems like you still do everything. I was looking at your Instagram and it seems like you're pretty well versed. You're still doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And I have so many clients. I started tattooing in New York. I'm from New York. So I have so many people that have been tattooing for like 15 years, Yeah. So there's still a lot of that, like I'm their guy. And so I'm their friend's guy, their sister's guy, you know what I mean?
I fucking love that shit.
But I honestly, I love tattooing.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like I'm able to put my fingerprint on whatever I do. So yeah, I feel super fortunate about that.
No, for sure, man. I was looking at your Instagram as well, and I saw the same things of like, man, you can do a lot of different things, all very clean, all really, and it has like what you're talking about. It has like, your touch into it. So it's cool to see.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think like, tattooing for that long, I mean, like I've been tattooing for, I think I'm going on 17 years this year, and I still feel super excited about it. Like I'm stoked if I can do something cool, especially if it's something even different outside of what I normally would do. If I feel like I see it, like, oh yeah, I know how I could do my version of this, you know? And then I'll get excited about it.
You know what makes me still excited about tattooing is we've been tattooing around the same amount of time, around 17 years. And still to this day, like exactly today, I was working on a back piece that I started just a couple of months ago. And I looked at it today. I was like, why did I do it like that? Like, I feel like I progressed so much just in those couple of months.
Yeah.
That makes me excited. Be like, man, I learned so much just in this short amount of time. Just makes me want to keep learning even more.
For sure. Like I have a back piece from Justin Hartman. Shout out to the homie, amazing tattooer. And if you see it, it still looks like a really sick tattoo, but it looks so different than the way that his compositions are now, the way that he would do it now. Like, and it's because like we keep growing, and no matter how, if you're passionate about it and you're still kind of just, looking for that little bit of a step up every time you do some work.
Yeah. And it's one of the things we're most fortunate about, right? There's plenty of people that can love what they do when they start it, but then it becomes a job.
Yes.
But for us, I think we're all probably our own worst critics, right?
Yeah.
So when you look at something like you were saying, Matt, like, you did not that long ago and you're like, why did I do this way or that way? To still have that drive and that passion to do the best that you can do is an amazing thing. And there's not a lot of people in other industries that get to do that, and feel that way.
For sure.
Which, talking about that, I was looking at this comments on one of the critique videos where people were literally thinking that we are being too nitpicky.
Oh yeah.
On the critiques. And I'm like, what are you talking about, bro? That's what the critiques are all about. It's about being nitpicky. Like those little minute things in a design are we're gonna something that's good to something that's great to something that's amazing. Like fuck. Like there's that whole like Louis C.K. joke about people overusing amazing. Like everything's amazing, and it's like that's true. Like not every fucking tattoo is amazing. It's fucking cool, or like, oh, that shit's sick, But every now and then you see something and you're like, wow, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And it blows your mind, But the little steps to get to that point, it's a lot of little nitpicking to make sure that everything's like on the money.
My favorite ones are when we're critiquing something and talking about how it could be better, people in the comments will be like, I think it looks great. What are you talking about? I'm like, well, that's why you're not going to get any better. If you think that this looks great,
then you're not going to get
any
better.
And isn't that the point of a critique as well?
Yeah.
It's like, you feel confident enough that like you're not going to trash them, right? But hey, what do you see? What could I do better? Are my lines a little wonky, or is it not a lot of balance? But that's the point. A
lot of our critiques are more design geared as far as like, why does the actual artwork not work? Like, we don't really do too much of the technical stuff.
Yeah. So far, everyone that, for the most part, that has, sent their work for a critique, they have pretty solid fundamentals, as far as tattooing goes. A few people, that just had like a little bit of like, not just strong outlines and then a little bit of patchy shading, but then like most part is like, man, the designs were the hardest parts of all the critiques. Just telling people like, hey, it's just the drawing.
Yeah.
Compositions. I'll be for real, dude. Some of my favorite tattooers, they're not the cleanest.
Yeah.
But the fucking drawings just have the fucking sauce. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
It just is there. Like they're ripping lines. They're like,
who cares?
They're ripping lines. They're fucking, doing shit. And at the end, you're like, oh, that shit's sick as fuck, dude. Like, this is so good.
Right. Because they're putting life into it, right?
Yeah.
Their expression. And,
Yeah.
How many times do you see a sketch and you're like, man, that's fucking really, really awesome. But then it gets cleaned up with like actual lines and it just doesn't have the same feeling anymore.
Same feeling anymore. It's like when you're, especially if one of you're somebody that draws with a lot of like really strong, quick gestural lines. And then when you're lining it as a tattoo, you're like, with that slow drag, you're going to lose that fucking quick, hand movements, So the tattooers that can capture that, dude, it's such a fucking cool thing.
Yeah, those look really cool. I would love to learn how to do that. I don't think I would want to actually do it a lot.
Yeah.
But just to be able to be like, look at a sketch and then tattoo the sketch. And make it look like that.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
Well, I would love to see somebody just do that. You just do it as a tattoo. Just like kind of just loosely build it,
Oh, like never even have a drawing to begin with. Just start sketching on skin.
Right. Like just draw it, maybe on there but don't really fully refine it and just let the tattoo be what it is.
Yeah. I freehand, I would say 80%, if not more, of what I do. And a big part of that is that I feel like I can be in that moment and translate that into the tattoo beyond like fitting it to the body right and all of those things.
Yeah.
But if I drew it on paper or on Procreate, it loses a bit of that human element.
The 2D, 3D effect of like, sometimes you draw something on an iPad and it feels cool, put it on paper, wraps around, you're like,
yeah,
I got to make some adjustments. Yeah. So it's like, why not just skip that part and go straight to that,
Yeah. I don't know. I enjoy it. It's a lot of extra time. And you would think by this point I'd be really good at not having my Sharpies wipe off and have to redraw constantly, but I don't have a trick for that. But I feel like I'm able to capture a little bit more energy than if I were to stencil, obviously certain things, if I'm doing realism or something like that, I'll stencil it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy it. And it's gotten to the point I put a lot of my freehand stuff on my Instagram, mainly for clients. Like I could understand if somebody never had something freehanded on them before, and a lot of my freehand stuff looks super sloppy. Like I know what's going on.
Yeah.
But I could understand why a client would be like, what the fuck is that? You know what I mean? So at least they've seen a bunch of it and be like, oh, that became this. And now it's gotten to a point where if I stencil something, I've had clients be like, oh, you're not going to freehand it? They're like disappointed
And they're like, oh, I wanted the whole show, bro. What the fuck? They wanted to have that like magic moment, you know?
No, that's good though, to have something there to like be like, this is the process. So you're not getting any surprises. The guy that taught me how to tattoo, he didn't freehand anything, but his stencils were so loose and just like a bunch of dots and dashes. And the clients would look at him like, all right, I don't know what I'm looking at.
Man.
All right, let's go for it, man. It's like, it's nerve wracking.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tattooers, Jao Bosco, who does like specializes in doing like chrysanthemums, snakes, skulls. That's pretty much it. That's what he tattoos most of the time. And his when he tattooed my inner thigh to knee, you know, he did like 3 color Sharpies. By the end of it, it looked like a freaking mess. I'm like, you could tell what was kind of happening, but everything was so loose and so messy. And he was just like, good. You know, I was like, yeah, dude, let's fucking rip and dip, bro. Let's go. You know, and dude, at the end, it was like, fuck, you know, like, especially as he's working and everything starts disappearing, but everything's just there.
Yeah.
You know, he's just super confident in like that subject matter and he's pulling it off so strong. It's sick.
I'll, you know, be playful with a bunch of my clients, like in the initial freehanding part when I'm just kind of getting the overall motion down and it's super light, you know, but it looks like nothing. And, you know, tell them to go look in the mirror. I'm like, sick, right? They're like, yeah, all right.
I was watching some guys at the New York convention years ago. They were doing, it's not Tabori. What's the Samoan one? What is that called? Tatau?
Tatau.
So they were drawing on the design, but they weren't drawing all the patterns and all the shapes and everything. They're just drawing directional lines. Like this is kind of like where it's going to be, the direction it's going to go. And it was literally just a couple of straight lines. Like, all right, this is it.
That's
and
it.
The client would look in the mirror like, all right, what am I looking at? It's like, don't worry about it. Lay down. Yeah. And then just start going like all these perfect triangles and perfect shapes and just nothing there, but just a couple of directional lines.
It's impressive.
Those guys, to me, dude, that's like when it comes to being like just a technician, you know, in tattooing and being somebody that can do like such perfect work. Like that shit blows my mind, dude.
Yeah.
Like the Samoan guys that do like the crazy patterns over a shoulder and everything's just perfect everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, dude, anxiety. No. I want to just do organic things that just feel flowy always.
Yeah. It's hard to fuck that up.
Yeah, exactly. It's so good. Today, my client asked me, so what I tattooed today, I did a tiger. I love tigers. He asked me about like, I did also a portrait of his mom before. And he asked, is doing like this kind of tiger, like doing a portrait? And I'm like, yes, but no. And I'm like, nobody's going to really care about the stripe of this tiger over here. And except for every bit of your mom's face, we're going to know if it's slightly off, you know? So it's like, it's loose. So, but it's the same idea, you know, same principles, but definitely portraits is anxiety.
Yeah. You can change the features of an animal and still look like that animal.
Yeah, for sure.
But you'll never know if that animal's Frank or Jill. Like, you'll never know.
Yeah. Unless like there's like a very distinct like marking, you know, but it's like, even then, man, like there's a shadow there. You couldn't see it. It's fine.
So Tim, you do a lot of cover-ups, right?
I do, yeah. And a lot of really complicated ones. I think that's where being able to freehand comes in handy.
Yeah.
You know, it's really, unless you're covering up something small, it's really difficult to properly place a stencil where you need it to be. What you were just saying, John, about organic things, like that's what I always try to go for with cover-ups. Because I feel like the two most important parts of a cover-up, this really stands for any tattoo or piece of art, but are focal point and balance, right? From a design perspective. So if that focal point, like where you want to draw the person's eye first, is right in the middle of like gnarly cover-up area, you're setting yourself up for disaster.
For sure.
Know? So then the eye winds up going to the cover-up, you know? And then with balance, treating, I think a lot of people that will do cover-ups that maybe don't specialize in it, don't realize having to have like the balance of saturation and your darks, and you get excited when you get to a clean area of skin and like, oh, cool, now I can do this however I want. But when you don't have that, let's say you have two wings, the cover-ups in one wing, it's super dark and saturated, but now the other wing is nice and soft and all these little details, it's going to be obvious that it's a cover-up.
For sure.
Right. So, you know, everyone I do, that's my immediate thought. Like, where am I going to put the focal point and how am I going to balance it out? You know, and I think that's key for successful cover-ups.
Do you often turn clients down or tell them to get some laser first?
I do. There's not many that I have turned down. And I do have a friend who's also a client who is really good at laser. That's what she does. If I feel like the longevity of the tattoo will benefit from at least being lightened a little bit, I'll recommend laser. Yeah. But it's difficult. So many people are against it. You know, whether it's the extra money, the extra time, the pain, they just don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But if I am not confident that not just when I'm done, but like when I see it a year from now, that I'm going to be proud of it, then I won't do it. So if I really think somebody needs laser and they don't want to do it, then I won't proceed with the tattoo.
I probably turn down almost 100% of all cover-up requests that I get.
You're like, no.
And the ones that I do take on, I always suggest doing laser first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even want to be bothered anymore.
Yeah.
For that reason, though, like there's so many things like the balance. A lot of people don't want to go much bigger than the original tattoo is already. It's very difficult to make a cover-up successful if it's the same size as the one that you're already working against.
Almost impossible.
Yeah. Especially, you know, you get some of these like middle-aged women who already have a small tattoo and they're like, I don't want to go much bigger than that. I'm like, well, you kind of have to.
If you're going to cover that up,
Yeah.
My rules is always has to be at least 3 times bigger because I'm thinking a third can be really dark.
Yeah.
You know, of this tattoo. So 3 times as big. And then after that, it's like such subject matter wise, like how flexible are you with what you want? But I still always want to know what they would want. I don't want to just say, because I hate getting into the like, oh, if you can cover this up, dude, I'll take whatever. Mm-hmm. And you're like, sick, I want to do a dragon. Well, I'm not really into dragons. We're going to just get into this, like, you know, back and forth for too long. What would you want? And that way that puts me at least along a path of like, oh, this is the kind of stuff that they're into. And
general direction.
Yeah. Some general direction.
What are you into?
Yeah.
You know?
And then after that, if like once I feel so confident and I'm like, I solved the puzzle, you know, there's like a mental game of like, oh, you just see it, you know? It's like, I feel like you're that meme with things going, and, dude. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, I can totally cover this like this. It's going to look sick. If they say, then I don't want to do it. But if you're like, dude, he's excited about something, I want to see what he's going to do. Then we're on, you know, and then I'll fucking knock that thing out the park and I'll feel good about it.
Yeah, I think one of the most common things I run into in like a consultation process with Coverup is people want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I would like this tattoo and I don't want this tattoo. So can you put this one on top of that one?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the one they want is a realistic lion or something.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's not going to work. I always take the time in consultations explaining the process, showing examples, to the point where I think I bore them most of the time. You know, I'll talk about the difference of opaque grays and gray wash and why one over the other. But that really helps because you can see the understanding that they get by feeling like more educated, you know, and then they trust you more. I have one piece that I did a few years ago, a cover-up that has flaws in it. Mm-hmm. And I point it out to all of them. I show it to them. I'm like, yeah, I did this. And you see this line coming through there. Like, that's what I try to avoid. And then by telling them you're trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, you're not going to be happy with your cover-up. And this other tattoo that you do want, you're not going to be happy with how that came out. So you're kind of going to be disappointed twice, you know? And
That's it. That's it. It's like you're going to be disappointed if you can't at least commit. Because I've had the same situation where somebody wants to, oh, like, I want to get this. This was my dream tattoo, but can you just put it on here? And I'm like, look, dude, that arm's clean. Let's do it over there.
yeah.
And maybe get that lasered, or just trust what I can do with this thing, where you're not going to get this dream tattoo that you wanted before on that same place. It's just not realistic. I feel like a lot of times I see, we've all seen insane things on Instagram that are bonkers, that you're like, wow, that's fucking crazy. But you're seeing, most of the time, I feel like you're seeing something that's still fresh, hasn't settled. And when doing crazy cover-ups, because I've attempted to do certain things and then seen what worked, what didn't work. And it's like you start learning like which colors are more opaque than others, you know, and which things are going to be able to pull off on certain skin tones where it's like, man, after that point, it's going to get too opaque. There'll be no light bouncing out of that skin tone at all. It's going to look too dull. It's going to look too dark. But then on other people, you might be able to get away with more. So there's like, it's such a case by case thing with cover-ups. Like it's what tattoos, what you want, what your skin tone is, how dark even the old black is.
Yeah.
You know, like all these little subtleties will affect how a cover-up is. It's not something you can just like say, oh, this is going to be that, you know? And I think it's scary for people to sometimes jump on that. The fact that there's no like, I can't give you exacts on this, you know? You have to be flexible with so many things.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that tattooers need to realize is, you know, even though, okay, this area is dark and we're going to cover that, but you got to realize too, now there's another layer of ink in this one area. So going back to like balance, how are you going to balance that out? It's not just that it's dark, but there's a little bit more density to where you're covering up.
Yeah.
So now on the clean skin that's surrounding it, how are you going to balance that out so this doesn't look, especially if there's scar tissue or something in the old tattoo, that's tricky too, you know?
It seems like a lot of work.
This is why cover-up sounds like a lot of work. But like
just get laser.
That was one of those things of like, you know, when you're going for a cover-up, like you can do it through color or use some texture. Sometimes a texture can kill something, a situation like 100%. That, with there's like some sort of like lines or scarring or anything like that. Create some use that as texture within that design, you know? So that's like, oh, maybe you didn't want a snake, but a snake is going to be really good in this situation, you know? Like building that upon, it'll look really rad. So it's like,
almost always, if I am going to do a cover up, I always add a lot more texture than you would typically want to add.
Yeah,
it just makes it so much easier to actually cover that up.
For sure.
Like, oh, you want an apple? Well, now it's going to be a rotten apple.
My go-to used to be like a stone effect.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So you can have cracks wherever you want to go.
Exactly.
And, you know.
Man, I love doing Japanese tattoos, and I love doing like rocks and water. So a lot of times when people show me something, I'm like, how can I put a rock right there? Let's put a rock right there. Next to that, I'll put a flower. And that goes back to what you were mentioning of like creating a new focal point. It's like the flower, bright, the water's going to be moving in direction away from this rock. So it's going to be like making the eye go to where we want everything to be. And that black area just will make sense for it to why it's really, really dark. And that'll make a cool tattoo.
Yeah, utilizing the clean skin around it, but it can be very useful. Let's just say it's a name, so it's not like a big tribal or something like that. And do some cherry blossoms. And you can draw the cherry blossoms so that they're all on clean skin, and then you can do a dark shaded background, and all that's going to do is make those cherry blossoms pop more.
For sure.
You know? But if you design it incorrectly, you're going to be like, why is that randomly dark, like going through?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sure. Man.
What are you drinking?
Oh, man. This is my favorite summer drink, guys. A nice April spritz in the summer. Oh, it's great. It looks delicious. It is. It's good.
That one looks a lot more amber than some of the ones you've gotten in the past. A little bit more Aperol on that one.
More April. because the guys next door like me. So how long have you owned the shop that you have now?
Just coming up on 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
It's in what part of Astoria?
Like right by Broadway.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good spot. It was previously a tattoo shop. I was working there, and then I was also working. The original 10,000 Foxes was in Brooklyn.
Yes.
And when the owner of the old shop, she was just kind of done being a shop owner, borderline done tattooing. Like, she's a really good painter. That's really her passion.
Yeah.
So Manu and I decided to buy the shop from her, renovate, rebrand, all of that. And but you know, I was there, you know, doing all the dirty work. And then Manu was focusing on the LA shops. So then I just took over the Astoria shop completely. But yeah, we had a good, I don't know, 4 or 5 months before COVID, you know what I mean? Shut down for a while, but it's good. It's a great neighborhood. We got a great crew, you know, some awesome tattooers. Yeah, it's really nice. You know, we all enjoy working together, enjoy each other as people.
How long was the shop previously to one you own? Was that there?
7 years, six or 7 years.
So the shop had a reputation then, like the location had a reputation for this is a tattoo shop, whether it was yours, whether it was 10,000 Foxes or the other one.
I feel like that's good mojo.
Yeah.
It's good mojo in the walls. Like, I feel like this place, because it was a really cool rock and roll store before that it was a bar, it has good mojo. Oh man, it was funny. One time this guy was getting tattooed downstairs, and he goes into the bathroom, and when he comes out of the bathroom, he's like, holy shit, bro. I knew that I knew this place. This used to be a bar. I did so many drugs in this bathroom back when it was a bar. I was like, dude, this is hilarious. But like, it took that moment because the dude been here all day. So it's like, it took that one moment for everything to just wrap around and freaking like click for him. And I'm like, that's such a crazy, funny New York story. Cause that was like so many years ago. So that guy just had like flashbacks.
It's cool that you guys kept the actual bar in here too.
Yeah. I feel like it's too cool to take away. I'm like, no, this is great. Let's keep it.
Yeah. At first, when we first were scoping out this place, I was like, I don't know, man, that's going to be in the way. But I think it works. So
yeah,
well.
it works so good.
Yeah.
Shit. I mean, it's perfect for the podcast.
Yeah.
Was when this was a bar, was the downstairs? Do you know? Was
More
the
bar.
downstairs was like part of the bar too?
Part of the bar.
Yeah.
I think. Actually, I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I have no idea.
But I was like, man, I'd love to just move the whole bar downstairs. Just make it like a speakeasy.
That'd be pretty cool.
That'd actually be really, really cool.
I think I said it before. I would love to close off the stairwell and put like a fake door, but like a real door.
Yeah.
So no one knows that that's down there.
Yeah.
Case.
Yeah. Right.
Bookcase, something cool. A fridge. Walk through the fridge. That'd be easy to do. Actually.
For sure.
That'd be a super easy.
No one will ever know.
Did you have a lot of work to do on this place when you
A
took it
sliding
over?
bookcase.
Sliding bookcase.
Yeah. Sliding bookcase. Pull a book. Oh, sick.
Yeah. This place was very different.
It was
John
very
had
different.
a vision and I didn't see it. I was like, I don't know about this place, man.
Yeah. This place was pink.
Yeah, Matt was saying that earlier.
Full pink.
Yeah.
I did like the pink neon though. I was like, ooh, that's sick. Like the pink neon stain.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Just feels right.
How do you guys like the difference between your old studio not being ground floor and this one being a storefront?
Oh man, that's like, you know, I've been thinking about that myself, you know, because I feel like they both have their pros and cons. I like the energy of having something really connected with like the front, you know, I started tattooing in a place like that. And I've always liked that vibe of like a random person walking into a shop, having questions and just having that experience. I feel like there's some, and then just being able to step outside and feel like you're part of a neighborhood, you know, it's really cool. And then at the other place, the more intimate kind of feel of just being in like a very private, where it's only like, you feel like you're in a private little club. It doesn't feel like you're in a store. It feel like you're in a little private club with other, you know, like-minded individuals. And in that other place, we had like a little second floor backyard, you know, so we had a little outdoor space that was very private as well. So it was kind of cool. So there's such different places. I got to say, at this point, I feel like this makes me more excited. Being in the other environment with less things going on, I feel like at times it can get boring. And I like the excitement of like, oh, every day is a little bit different more. Right?
Even the location of that other spot, like just the energy in that area.
In the area,
was not as good as it is right here.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is way different.
Yeah.
We, having a storefront like we have too, like what you're saying, kind of feeling like you're a part of the community and people popping in. The amount of dogs that pull their owners over to our shop because they get love and they get treats, and none of them are clients, people getting tattooed, but it's great. Like we've made these like relationships and friendships, and we would totally miss that if we're in like a private studio.
Absolutely.
Or something, you know?
Yeah.
And it's super cool seeing people that have no interest in tattoos, whether it's demographic or just, you know, just not their thing, that love to stop by the shop and say hi to everybody. And you know what I mean? I think it's special. You know?
Yeah, I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, if people know that you're around and they know you, they're like, oh man, I've been thinking, somebody says they want to go get a tattoo. Like, oh, go to that place because those people are really nice.
Yeah.
You know, they're great. Those are great people. Go over
Which
there.
we can forget to a lot of people how still intimidating like going into a tattoo shop can be.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Because it's like, this is what we do, you know?
Man,
But
I saw the craziest thing. And so I am not a type of person to be offended by anything. So don't take this as me being offended. But I saw a post where this female tattooer opened up an all-female shop. And she goes, the reason why I opened an all-female shop is because I want my clients to feel comfortable. I'm like, that's the craziest shit ever. Like, what happens if a dude goes, I'm only going to open up an all-male shop because I don't want some, you know, bitch energy in here. Like, he'll
man.
get derailed. Like, there's no way that he's going to get away with that.
No way. But I mean, they're all girl gyms.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes, this are all girl gyms. So for the same reason, because they want to feel comfortable.
It's stupid. I can understand a gym. I get that. There's a lot of bros just like being weird and creepy in the gym, checking out girls as they're working out. I can get that. But I don't know, tattoo shop doesn't feel right to me. For that reason. Like if you want to open up an all girl shop because just your friends are all girls and they're all tattooers and
But
they're rad.
that's exactly the same reason. Because like sometimes girls want to get tattooed in like weird places. And if there's a dude there, it makes them feel uncomfortable. Maybe.
So does that mean that the girl's not going to, they open up an all female tattooer shop. I don't know if that means they're only going to tattoo females though. I mean, they're going to tattoo dudes.
Right. Maybe they just, damn it.
We have a bunch of female tattooers, and there's a big difference in the energy, whether that be good, bad, or indifferent, when it's just the girls, or if it's just the guys, we just work.
Yeah.
You know, we just work. And the girls are having a
Your
good
wife's
time.
over there like, I'm looking at you.
But you know, and the girls are having a good time and chatting it up and talking reality TV and all that. So that's got its place, but it's interesting seeing different dynamics, you know, when they're together, and the balance when you have both some male and some female tattooers. I think it's great for clients, like female clients. I could totally understand how they're more comfortable with another female artist, you know? But I would wonder, and like what you're saying, the all female tattoo shop, like, is their clientele almost all females, you know?
That's, you know, I think maybe, you know, based not because of like girls want to tattoo girls, but just based on the subject matter of usually things that they like to tattoo. Like if they have that feminine touch, usually girls like that more. You know what I'm saying? Like I saw that just in my own work and in other people's work. Like when you do things that are more feminine, you're going to get more female clients that are kind of leaning towards the kind of artwork that you're making. If you start, you know, not that girls don't get like super sick, like oni masks and shit like that, but it's what they gravitate toward,
Yeah.
Like,
I'll never forget when Penshoff was doing one of his guests with us.
Yeah.
He was here for a couple of days watching me tattoo my clients. And at that time I was like still doing more new school stuff, but kind of doing traditional neo-trad also. And I was tattooing all these older women. And the thing he said to me was like, dude, I don't get it. Like, why are all these old ladies coming to get tattooed by you? Like, your work doesn't look like old lady tattoos. I'm like, I don't know, man. This is what I draw right now.
What they like. It's so funny. But ever since I started doing Japanese, mainly dudes.
Yeah.
Mainly dudes like big Japanese tattoos, except for Jake. Jake tattoos nothing but like giant Japanese things on girls. Full fronts, full backs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Tons. I was like, holy shit. But he's also in Australia. And that means that's different completely what people like. It's just different.
They want to start promoting larger scale work. Even if it means like, I want to do a couple of back pieces at a discounted rate to try to get more bigger. 'Cause I always feel like my bigger projects are stiff. And I don't know why that is. But I want to work on that.
If you had your preference, would you have like one session tattoos, or do you like to be able to know, hey, at least I know I'm going to have a couple hours to go back into this? Or
I'm kind of split on that. I always want to see something finished right away. So if I could do a big tattoo in one day, then I would rather do that. But the reality doesn't allow that to happen. I like to look at my portfolio and see the bigger tattoos and be like, yeah, fuck yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I love the instant gratification of finishing and starting a piece in one session.
Yeah. I've noticed the evolution in my own stuff in my approach, because when I'm doing these complicated cover-ups, I take a layering approach to it. I don't try to just like slam it in there, I kind of have a method where I like to do, let's say 70% of it in one session, let it heal. I'll usually 5 to 6 weeks before, doing a second session on it. So, the skin's rejuvenated. You can really see how things like settled in and let where to push your contrast and because for a while too, it was like 5 out of 6 appointments were cover-ups. So I got used to working in that method, and now I really like doing that for even on clean skin, being able to just fine tune stuff and things like that, So if it is a one session thing, it's no problem. You finish it, great. But to be able to have that and be like 2 months later, let's do 2 hours,
Yeah.
And then seeing again, like longevity of that is like, I notice a significant difference, So even if that means I charge differently because this isn't supposed to be a 2-session tattoo, I feel like the quality of the work really benefits from it,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you can go back in and even just touch something up, like having a second pass at it is always going to be beneficial to you.
And the amount of times that clients, even if it's a multi-session tattoo and it looks done, but I'm like, hey, 2 months from now, let's set up like a half day, and I'll charge accordingly. They're like, it doesn't even need it. But when I'm done with that last fine tuning session, they're always like, oh shit, man. Like I get it,
Man, I know that I have like unfinished sleeves out there because they're like, bro, he's tripping. He don't need another session on this. This looks done, bro. I bet. And I'm like, ugh, that's annoying.
One of the first guys that started teaching me how to tattoo, so I had technically 2 apprenticeships. And the first one was like this really terrible experience. One of the guys that was working at that shop, he used to tell me that he would purposely leave things out of the tattoo to make the client look at it after they go home. Like, oh man, I need a touch up.
I need to finish this thing up.
Yeah. And in his mind, he was like, oh yeah, it's to get them to come back in, do a second session. I'll tweak everything. But also it's his way of getting the clients to come back in and pay more money. I'm like, I don't know, man, that sounds pretty sleazy to me, but you do you. But I mean, in a way, it sounded like it could be a good idea just to get a second session. But the way that he approached it was so sleazeball.
So sleazeball. Because like at the end of the day, like I've done that with cover-ups actually, where I'm like, man, I'm not going to cover that one thing up until we get pretty close to being done. Because I need to be able to like layer these areas. Because sometimes like I want 2 sessions on just this part of this tattoo.
Yeah.
Just to get this over with. And then like, man, I'm going to cover that last bit that matters right towards the end.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense, but he would be doing like a name and he would purposely not cross the T on. Like,
No way.
Yeah, I think transparency with the clients early on and building that relationship with them so that they don't think you're doing that.
Yeah.
Like, it looks good. Is he telling me I need another session just so he can charge me more money?
Right.
You know, that goes a long way. And on large projects that I do, I will do, I'll book somebody for a full day, whether I use that full day or I don't. And 9 times out of 10, I won't even charge them. They've already paid me $10,000 for this tattoo. They've been an awesome person, an awesome client, and I really want my work to look the best that it possibly can.
Yeah.
So can I sacrifice a few hours of my time to ensure that? Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, just being open and honest about that stuff really goes a long way. You know, they see that you're genuine and that you just really care. I'm like, believe it or not, I want this tattoo to look better than you do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's, you know, it's your work. You know, I feel like sometimes clients don't see that it's like, man, I'm devoting hours of my life to this because I care about it, you know, not just because I make money from it, but because I do actually care about my work. And, you know, doing good work like this is going to bring me more business. So I'm trying to knock this out the park, bro.
Yeah.
So that actually reminded me, I wanted to ask you guys something. When you're doing something big, multi-session, and let's say last session's work needs a touch up, do you touch that up while you're doing the next session, or do you do everything and then do a touch up later on?
Oh, right then and there.
Do you charge for that time?
Yeah.
If you were to wait and do like a touch up session on its own, would you charge for that?
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah. I mean, it's just my time.
Okay. I always did free touch ups.
You know, I mean, it's not it depends of like, usually I don't have to touch up anything if I'm just doing the tattoo, but if it's in a situation where it's like, I'm doing a cover up or something like that just needs needs more work.
Yeah. I mean, that I feel like that's different, but if it's not a touch up, I mean, if it's not a cover up, so for example, the reason why I'm bringing it up is the back piece that I was doing today. First session, we did all the black. Today I started doing some color, but that black wasn't black. So a lot of it I had to redo. And as I'm doing, I'm thinking to myself, like, is this a touch up? Is this just layer number 2? Should I be charging for this time?
I would consider that layer number 2.
Yeah.
Yes. I would, because at the end of the day, you are putting like black on black. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that looks different.
Yeah.
It's going to be richer. It's going to be more dense. It's going to have a different appeal. It'll look really good, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's just your time, I would say.
Yeah, I go case by case basis, but I try to be very honest with myself too. And if I see something that didn't heal as well as I would have liked it to, or I expect like my tattoos to heal, they're like, well, is it me or is it them? And if I feel like it was me, maybe whatever it may be, my machines or my needles or where my head was at or whatever, you know, then I'm like, no, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
You know? But if, you know, thankfully I don't have to do a lot of touch-ups, but I think a lot of it's because it's large scale work. So you're having the opportunity as you're working on other things to go back into that, you know? And then with everything I said before about just the relationship I build with the clients and transparency about the process, they kind of get it. You know, I never have anybody be like, why did you redo that? It looked fine, you know, because now they see, no, it looks a lot better and it needed that, you know?
Yeah. The guy that I was tattooing today, I never really talked about what I was doing. So the guy that I'm tattooing today, he flew in from Canada. Technically today is his second visit, but his third session. He did 2 sessions in a row back in January, and then he's doing today and tomorrow this time around. It's a lady head kind of hugging like a Grim Reaper, some flower kind of framing out over the head. It's cool. I really dig it. But like I was saying before, only a couple of months has passed, and I definitely would not have designed it the way that I did a couple of months ago.
Different, right?
Why did I do it this way? But it's cool.
It's still a cool, good composition.
Yeah.
Still looks good.
Yeah, it's not bad. Just I would do it different now.
Yeah.
Or you do a lot of large scale stuff, right? You're saying like Japanese. So if you have somebody that falls off for, hey, can you finish the sleeve you started 4 years ago? Like that's a tricky one because you're like, well, what I'm going to do now, like just purely ink in the skin is not going to match that. So now I got to go through and do another pass on that to really make sure everything ages properly.
For sure.
And so do you charge for that or?
I feel like after 4 years, you charge for that.
Yeah.
So I was saying before, I do free touch-ups, but I tell my clients, like, if you're going to get a touch-up, man, do it like within the first couple of months, because after that, I'm charging you for it. Time in the sun, you're just going to fade. I don't know if you got bit by your dog. I don't know. Like something, shit happens.
Right.
Like at least if like the first month or two, if something's a little light, 9 times out of 10, that could be my fault or just natural, your body's pushing stuff out while it's trying to heal. Throw that in. I'll do that for free. But after it's been settled in the skin for that long and just time, Mother Nature did her thing, I'm going to charge for that time to cover that up, to touch that up.
Yeah. And then let's say it's 2 years later and they're like, oh, can you touch this up? This little piece of red fell out or whatever. It's like, cool. Well, now my fresh red is not going to match your other reds. So if I touch that up, now I got to touch this other stuff up. And you're going to have to pay for that. No, I know one of my, the tattooers at my shop, Rain, was supposed to be on your podcast a few months ago. Right. And she had to cancel last minute. And I told her I was going to trash her on here.
Do it.
For doing so.
We were saying she's never allowed back.
Yeah, that's what I was telling her. But she's been bribing me with smoothies all week. And that's my weakness. So I'm going to cut her some slack.
What's your flavor?
I like peanut butter, banana, blueberry.
Peanut butter, banana, blueberry.
It's a good time.
All right. Ding.
Yeah. Smoothie boys. I don't do smoothies. I'm a juice guy. I'm a cold pressed juice guy.
Fruit or greens?
Greens.
Attaboy.
I'll do some greens. All about the juice.
I'm very basic with my smoothies. I go with the strawberry banana. Or the mango pineapple. That's always good too.
Very tropical.
Yeah. I like my tropicals.
Damn. So this past week, totally off subject, but I saw this crazy video on TikTok about this girl showing, I tried to send it to you. It was like I
couldn't open
pictures and a couple of videos of this girl getting one of the ephemeral tattoos, the tattoos that, fade within 1 to 3 years from you getting them. That's a very lengthy.
Don't they? They had it worded in the very beginning. It was 15 to 18 months.
Yeah.
And I guess because they weren't fading in that time, they extended it to 3 years now.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 to 3 years. She showed the whole process of it and all the video, and I was like, whoa, that's actually wild.
Was it working? Was it fading?
No. Well, yeah, it eventually faded a lot.
But not all the way?
Yes. So basically, one, she gets a tattoo that's just like a normal tattoo. Then they use a special kind of like bandage on it, which looks crazy weird. Think of like kind of like a derm, but with some goop on top of it, that's supposed to kind of help it stay. And then it stays kind of way more raised than a normal tattoo does for a lot longer. Except hers started getting more like irritated over time. And it got almost like fully like keloided to a certain degree. And it looked really, really scary. They told her, oh, go to your doctor. Doctor was like, I don't know.
It's time to take off the arm.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know. Then she just waited. Then she said that basically it would go through moments where it would flare up, and she showed pictures of all of this. And where like the skin would just get raised through heat, like, if it got really hot. And that happens to us. So, they have like normal tattoos, like certain inks or whatever, especially my reds will just go, in certain times of the year, go crazy.
I have legit red reaction on one of my tattoos. And almost 4 years later, I'll still make myself bleed, scratching it so hard.
Damn. Yeah. Cause it'll just be like,
Oh, feels so good to dig.
oh man. But like, dude, everything about that whole process was super scary. And then at the very end, after the thing faded, you know, there was still like scarring left from the whole process. So she went and she got it just tattooed for real.
Oh my goodness. The same design?
Yeah. But like the same idea, you know, she had like a jellyfish. So all of that just to eventually just to get a jellyfish tattoo.
Does that place only do those disappearing tattoos, or
Yes, that is.
they don't do anything?
They don't do the
Real deal.
the permanent deal.
So was it still raised before she got it tattooed though? Like she's got
No, they like nobody would tattoo her because it looked really bad until it like got pretty, like it came down a lot. It just looked like a really old kind of fadey kind of like tattoo old thing. Then she got it finally tattooed over.
What was his timeline?
And this was like, damn, I can't remember, but I think it was at least almost 2 years. But wow,
They that place I think has like a couple of lawsuits against them for things
that
like that
reason, yeah.
Yeah. Or just people feeling that they got duped. Like, oh, this is supposed to disappear in 18 months and it hasn't yet, or it hasn't fully disappeared. There's lawsuits against them for that.
I mean, imagine if you got a face tat. You're like, oh, I'll get this through college. By the time I get out of college, it'll be gone. And then you just have a face tattoo for.
I don't know what their like their disclaimers or their waivers look like, but talking about transparency before, I feel like I could be just totally speculating here, but I feel like the people going into that place expect a good looking tattoo for 18 months. And then on day one after 18 months, it's just completely gone.
Yeah.
And maybe they're not explaining to them that's not how it's going to work.
No, it's going to be a slow fade and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
That's the tough part about that. It's like it starts fading and it's like you get to see kind of how like a tattoo really ages, but just like in a sped up version of it. It's like it starts breaking up and it starts getting all fuzzy and it looks crazy. And usually just line work, all black tattoos. It's not like there's any heavy shading or anything like that.
Is that because the ink doesn't have, like, do they not have colored ink to do what it's supposed to do?
I don't think so. They only do black, I think. I've never seen a color version or even anything with like shading, like, you know, soft shading. Usually like just lines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moral of the story is just get tattooed.
Just get tattooed. Just get tattooed. I go through all that. Just get a tattoo. If you regret it, just get a laser.
Or I'll cover it.
Or we'll cover it. Just the best, man. I had a great real idea that I'll share for everybody. So maybe, unless I'll do it before this comes out, you know,
Save it for the after show.
I know. Save it for the after show.
Speaking of the after show, if you want to get the after show, which is just a couple of extra minutes of us talking, sometimes it's just clips that didn't make it into the show. We put it in the after show. You can head over to patreon.com/honest tattooer and sign up to be a Patreon supporter. There's different levels. Each tier will get you the after show, but there's also critiques that we do for the higher tiered members. But what I do want to do is give a couple of shout outs to people who have joined the past couple of weeks. And I want to start with Ethan Green. Ethan is a buddy of mine that we went to high school together.
Oh, shit.
He was the singer of my band.
What?
Yeah. So shout out to Ethan, dude. Thank you so much for being a Patreon supporter. There's a couple other people that have joined. I'm not going to name everybody because there is a few in the last couple of weeks, but Albert Romero, Justin Gannon, and Isaac Russell. Thank you guys very, very much. We appreciate all the support. And if you want to be like those guys, give us some money. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Well, guys, if you're a tattoo enthusiast and you love to get old shit covered, there's only very few ways to do it right. But I think the most important part to do is just to listen to your artists, trust them, and do your due diligence with cover-ups, because you're going to see a lot of shit out there that's maybe looks cool in a photo, but that's not how it's going to work long term. So please do your research, but listen to your artists. They know what they're talking about. That's all I have to say.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would add, just because somebody is an amazing artist or an amazing tattooer doesn't mean that they'll be great at cover-ups.
This guy right here.
Perfect example.
Yeah, absolutely. Cover-ups are really, really hard, and it takes somebody that, you know, has the experience, and not only in like the art side, but also in the technical application of like doing things over tattooed skin, scarred skin. It's crazy. Yeah. It's hard.
Cool. Tim, thank you so much for coming. If people want to find you, where can they find you?
Instagram, TOC_tattoo. My tattoo shop, 10K Foxes _Queens. And thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming through, bro.